name is Dr. Bob Perkins, and welcome to our second mini seminar on preparing for the elevator pitch contest. So today we're going to talk about the following topics. First, building a brand, and give you a mini blueprint for doing that. Also talk about a projected income statement, because knowing your costs and how you're going to generate revenue turns out to be incredibly important. Next, creating your video. What are the things you need so that you can be Hollywood right here with your camera and enter your video in our contest. I'm also going to show an example. One of my students named Johnny Washington developed a really cool video that I think you'll enjoy. And then finally, we're going to talk about this last week, we didn't get to it. How do judges rate people at the elevator pitch contest? That's really interesting to know, so you can kind of plan backwards about how you're going to excel on those criteria. What's a brand worth? Well, here's a brand you may have heard of. It's been around for about 130 years now, and it is pretty famous. What do you think their brand, just their brand, is worth? Any guesses? $80 billion. $80 billion. And the Coke bottle alone is out of sight. Their colors, the whole thing, are really important. It's just unbelievable how powerful it is. Pepsi thought they couldn't compete because of the Coke bottle. So you want to develop a brand as well, where you have a look, you have a sizzle, you have an aroma. So you're not just selling a piece of meat, you're selling a great steak. Super brands really do that. They establish a name, they establish a logo, and here we have a couple of them. The first one, Nike. Nike means victory in Greek, not that I speak Greek, but we're all familiar with the Nike swoosh, which looks really pretty victorious. And then their phrase, just do it. So a mom had a son who was home for the summer. She had some ideas about what he could do. She drew this little sketch of two men in a truck, and voila, it took off. And then Movers Who Care. So it's a local moving service, and it's been pretty successful. So when you build your brand, and new ventures must do this, but brand building is the creation of a strategic asset through differentiating your brand from everyone else. These days, people want to work and buy from brands that they believe in. So it's really essential. I did a research study, which is about to be published, where I showed that compared to their peers, new organizations that have strong brands grew 6 times as fast. Now, many brand new companies don't do any branding, which is really kind of silly. So what is the core benefit that your product provides? This is really important to know. Is it health? Is it growth? People want to grow and improve and so forth. Does it save time? Does it save money? Those are all things that people are concerned about. Does it provide entertainment? Does it provide joy? Those are all really important. So how will you help your customers do something better, faster, cheaper? Next, what is your brand identity? Who are you? We've never heard of your company. What is it? What is its personality? We know that different companies have different personalities. There's an underwear company called Duluth Underwear. So look up their ads. They're incredibly funny, and the personality is really a joy. Why do you care? Why are you in this business? Just to make money? People don't like that much. What's your origin story? I want to tell you 2 of them. The first one is I had a class in marketing, entrepreneurial marketing. We talked to a guy named Tim. He was a physical therapist. We said, Tim, why are you a physical therapist? And he said, I used to be a professional triathlete, and I got hurt really bad. And physical therapy made such a difference in my life. I wanted to devote all my talent and my life to physical therapy and helping people feel better. There was a fellow in the UK, and he was a wealthy, successful executive, but his daughter Isabel got a disease, and they didn't know what was wrong with her. They took her to the doctor, and he just kind of said, take 2 aspirin and we'll check on her in a couple of days. But a few days later, she was a lot worse, and seriously worse, and nobody knew what she had. And the guy got really scared. He took her into London to the very best people, and finally, after a lot of trial and error, they figured out that Isabel had a particular very, very rare disease, and they treated that. And he decided that there really ought to be a way that you could have a differential diagnosis and find out what people have before they die. And so he used AI to create this product that you can buy if you're a physician and you can do diagnosis. It tells you the test to take, and it does a very complicated kind of screening. It's a great service, and guess what it's called? Isabel. Why did he start it? Because he didn't want other people's children to potentially die. So what's your origin story? Why are you in this? Hopefully it's something that will connect emotionally with your customers. It's important that everything kind of fit together. At Nike, it all does. Your name, your tagline, your colors, your font, your price. If you're selling really top-grade surgical equipment, you don't want it at $9.95. Nobody's going to believe it. It's not credible. And really you have to think of what your message is and making sure everything aligns around that. So who are you? All these kind of things. I mentioned Duluth Trading as an example. Organizing your pitch. Here's a message outline. Who are you? Who are your team? What's your name? It's one of the first things. Does it make any sense? What's your logo, your tagline? What is the problem you're going to solve? This is really important. What do you do for people? Why do you exist? How big is that opportunity? There needs to be a market there, and of course, it doesn't have to be a huge market, but if it's a tiny market, you're going to have a tiny company. Now, it's very important sometimes to find a niche that you can fill. We have some people now who are working on apparel for dogs. So that's a niche market, but it's a surprisingly big niche market. A lot of people like to dress their dogs up in various outfits, so they don't get wet, they don't get cold, or they just look a lot better. So you want to really be able to identify how big that market is, and it's not that hard to find out. If you get on the internet and prowl around for a while, you can find out. One of the things, I talked about this last time, is having a description of your product, having a mock-up that people can see, makes it much more clear. And then how will you make money? This is important as well. It doesn't have to be elaborate. I'm going to talk about it, but even a basic thing of how much you're going to charge and how much you're going to make works. What is the vision of your company? Where do you think it's going to be in 5 or 10 years? And then a launch strategy. How will you get customers? How will you connect with them emotionally and get noticed? It's a very crowded market out there. We have no shortage of alternatives. So how are you going to make yours different? And get reference customers, because we don't believe ads, but we believe the person sitting next to us who tells me or you, I tried that and it's terrific. Your projected income statement. This is about the money. Building your income statement has a couple of steps, not very difficult. One is the build-up method. You add up all the costs, you add up all the ways that you're going to get revenue, and you do it from comparable companies. And then you put together an income statement, and that's really basically your revenue minus your costs and your profit is what results. Very, very simple, basic business stuff. So the build-up begins with your revenue projections, and these are wild guesstimates when you begin, because you really don't know. And you have a worksheet where you add up all the ways that you're going to get money from potential customers, and then you add in. Then you identify the cost of goods sold. That's a term that means all of the direct things that go into making your product. The raw materials and the people working to turn it into a product. There are also operating expenses. You need to have a building, you need to have the lights on, utilities, you probably need to have insurance and those things. And that will, if you put those together, you'll get a preliminary income statement. Often people just assume that, oh, this is going to take off. And every year there will be more and more people who are going to buy it. Well, in real life, that doesn't happen. This is called the hockey stick. And we notice, and we laugh about in business consulting, that the hockey stick keeps moving east, further and further. And so it becomes kind of a straight line. And if you don't continue to do things, that curve up there, maybe it goes up for a couple of quarters or even years, but then it gets flat again because you're not doing things to generate income. Now, what can you do? What are your revenue drivers? Judges tend to ask, how are you going to, what drives your revenue? Are your customers going to buy? Are you going to rent it to them? Do they have to join a club? Do they subscribe? Do you have a scientific thing, invention, that you can license and get royalties on? Are they recurrent sales? So we'll give you the razor because we want to sell you blades every month. We will almost give you the vacuum cleaner because we want you to replace those bags frequently. So there are lots of ways that you can drive your revenue. Active selling, a sales force, a booth at a trade show, things of that sort. Customers will visit. They will visit your website if it's a good one. They will come to your store if it's interesting. They will respond to promotions that you have and things of that sort. They will answer by email. They will respond to ads that you put out. And that's often in terms of to get more information. Like if you're a financial analyst, you may say, respond to the email, by email, and we will send you the 5 tips for tax planning in 2020. So you find similar companies or operators, people you know are in that business who are doing it. You don't find out what their costs are. And then you pick out the key metrics that are important to your particular product. So if you're doing a game, what do people charge for that? What do they spend for raw materials? If you're doing a saliva situation, what is that dentist? What does he charge? And what are his costs? The chemistry to be able to diagnose those things. And then you can develop your particular company numbers from what everybody else is doing. And these are approximations. So you want to execute each step to build a realistic income statement. It's not, don't bother telling the judges that this is very conservative, it'll probably be a lot more. You can actually offer them a range sometimes because you don't know exactly. You're pre-revenue, you haven't sold to customers. The comparables are from similar businesses. Nobody's going to be exactly like your business because after all, you're doing something new and different. But you know your basic numbers cold by the time you get to the judges. And be able to explain why the revenue is going to grow. How are you going to get more of this? Maybe you're going to have, you're going to pay for leads from dentists. Or maybe you're going to go to gift stores, and the gift stores will sign up to be your customers. But they don't grow automatically every year. So remember, these are just estimates. It's a preliminary field. Nobody expects you, and nobody believes you will, hit these targets exactly. They know they will change when you enter the market. As Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And when we start new businesses, often we do get punched in the face. Sometimes we can kind of slip the punch and come back and do well, and that's really, really nice. So making great videos, you're just in time for this. I will go over the other part in a bit for you afterwards. So, why do we have videos in the contest? Well, I talked to the people down at the Kauffman Institute in Kansas City, and they said that to have people send in a business plan was just kind of dumb, because what we really want in contests and to launch new companies is we want to see the passion and the ability of people to be able to explain their idea. So the presentation really becomes important. We want to see stuff, and just having a bunch of papers doesn't work very well. So Aristotle said your story ought to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Oh, and by the way, sometimes a hook to get us interested. A little preface that says, oh, on a dark and stormy night a murder was committed and you don't know how, and it was in a locked room and all this kind of stuff. And then a big finish, usually a twist, and mysteries are famous for that. You don't have to be quite mysterious, but you can talk about your vision, about what you expect to happen, how it's likely to grow. I suggest you find 3 core messages that you want to get across. And this would be in your video and even in your longer presentation. What's unique about you and your product? What is the innovation? So then you write your narrative, and remember that this is a persuasive argument that you're making. It's a commercial. Now your visuals, in a 2-minute story, you'll probably have somewhere between 6 and 10 slides. You'd have the same in terms of scenes, maybe in your video. You can use some music, not too much. It's not a Bollywood presentation where people break out in spontaneous dancing, and that goes on for a while. But you have to check the sound clarity very carefully. We've seen a number of videos where you had splendid visuals, and then sound that just was difficult. Ambient noises, fuzz, all kinds of other things. So check that out, make sure the level is proper. A little music is good, and I'll talk more about that as I give an example. Movement is important. Let's have some action. There's a wonderful little commercial, it's a 2-minute thing. It's for the Dollar Shave Club, and the guy essentially runs through this whole area, and he smashes through things and does all kinds of crazy stuff. And it really keeps it moving. So you've got to have some momentum. How you do that is up to you, but no stuffed dummies, please. Now, with apologies to Elizabeth, people who are very smart and very scientific, we see this with a lot of our engineers too, they get very frustrated because they don't win the contest. But they stand up and they explain in great detail all about the science and engineering of their product. Nobody understands, nobody cares. We just want to know what it does. So tell us in a passionate way why this is important to us. But unless you're selling dance lessons, don't move too much. Now, if you want to demonstrate the cha-cha-cha and why you need to come to our dance studio, that's a whole different thing. But most of the time, you don't want too much. We have some students who may be developing a basketball device. And these are pretty good basketball players, and so they may actually shoot and show how their device shoots the ball back to them so they can get more practice quickly. But unless it's something like that, or you're going to do archery, something which you want to show movement, there needs to be some vitality, but not dancing around the stage. We find some people do that, they move for aimless reasons. Okay, so as we talk about Hollywood, there are a number of basic shots that we see in Hollywood. One is the establishing shot. This is the big vista. You can remember these National Geographic things where the guy begins. Here we are on the Giza Plateau, where the pharaohs built their pyramids. And you can see the pyramids and the Giza Plateau and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. Or here we are in the Rocky Mountains, and so we see that as well. And so that's a good beginning shot. Really works well. Now there's the close-up. The talking head, that's usually a head-up shot. An extreme close-up is where you show the eyes. The person is frightened, you see the eyes. So you see the surprise in the eyes. So that, we aren't going to do that in your video, probably. But we are going to do talking heads as you introduce yourself. That's okay. But people get very bored with it very quickly. There are also voiceovers. Now the voiceover, we show something. We would show, this, for example, and we would explain how we're going to win. We would have a chart which shows the segments in this market, why this segment is the one we want to compete in, because it's the one that's growing. And so we talk while we show something different. Medium shot is where you show the group. This is our team. This is the 3 of us here, and we're going to show this probably from the knees up. We don't need to see your shoes. That's not that important. And we want a little bit more face so you see that. And the key is to use all of these and mix these shots up, because each one has a special advantage. Okay, creating your video. Here are some rules about telling your story, and they're not all, you don't have to use each and every one. But show, don't tell. Show us the product, show us how it works, show us the numbers, and that kind of thing. So a mock-up display is magical. I mentioned it last time, and I will mention it every time I speak because we find it really makes a difference. The pace has to vary. You have to keep it lively and keep it moving. Sound and music, gotta be there. Use your brand as a style filter. So if you have a very serious kind of a product that really cures something basic like Alzheimer's, you don't want to be joking about this. It's not funny. It's not funny. Somebody in your audience may have a relative who has Alzheimer's, yeah, and so it's not funny. So you want to make sure your brand is serious and sophisticated in that, and very genuine in that situation, very competent. So that's a little bit of a different approach. And if, for example, our winners last year, they were selling a refreshment on the beach. So they wore Hawaiian shirts as their costume. They were wild and crazy. They were funny. They just had a ball. But that fit their personality. So plan it as a sales pitch. And the final rule is upload your video before the end of the day on Sunday, March 8th. Otherwise, unfortunately, you're out. You don't even get a shot. So storyboarding, this is a way to kind of plan what you're going to do. And here we have an establishing shot. We're beginning our trek into the mountains. And then we're in the climb, and we're at a place where it's a pass, and there are prayer flags there. So the plot thickens. We talk about that and so forth. And we see our objective behind us. That happens to be Kachunjunga. And then over here, we're at the summit. So this is the end. This is our victory. So this tells our story in just a couple of simple pictures. The pictures are really valuable. Pictures, one picture is worth 1,000 words. You can see a bright yellow VW. You can see a giant burger there with all kinds of stuff on it. So storyboarding is a really good technique. And you can find a number of videos about storyboarding just by surfing the internet a little bit. You can't draw? Well, lots of people can't. But you can do stick figures to show what the shot's going to look like. You can draw a little half circle and then put a circle on top of it. That shows a medium shot, a talking head. And you can do other things that are just about that simple and work very well. There are explainer automations, and you can find those, and here's just a number of different names of them. They change all the time. I don't know if these are currently the best ones or not, but you might want to look them up. John Marksdale at the UWF Library loans video equipment, and John will teach you how to use it. Next week, we'll also have a gentleman come and talk about videos as well. And what we find is that the equipment that you have, your camera, your phone is a great camera, and it's better than the professional cameras they had 20 years ago. So it's really good, but don't hold it vertically. Hold it horizontally. This makes quite a difference in the way the shot looks. Okay, I'm going to give an example now, and this is one of my students from some years ago, and he looked pretty much like Shaquille O'Neal. Wasn't quite that big, but darn near. And like Shaquille, he had this personality that was warm and friendly. Shaquille O'Neal has an MBA, I don't know if you knew that or not. He's a smart guy, but he's got this, he just exudes this warmth. If you don't like Johnny Washington or Shaquille O'Neal, you just don't like people. Anyway, so that's our character. And he developed what he called a construction zone idea. The opening shot was him as a talking head. I'm the founder. He talked about his credentials, 15 seconds. So that was the theme. So you can read the script with me. I'm Johnny Washington, founder of Construction Zone. For the last 10 years, I've been in the food business. 5 years as co-owner of highly successful Annie's Pizza. That was a very good pizza place in Atlanta. And then as a consultant to the industry for Cisco. I see a problem and a big opportunity. So then there's an image and there's a voiceover. And this is a grainy old black and white thing of a manufacturing facility, a conveyor belt that's kind of stamping out stuff. And that was actually a little movie kind of thing. You can see stuff moving along. And he said the problem is that burgers, the famous burgers, are standardized, and standardized food is pretty tasteless. They're manufactured like tires. And at that time, you could see his face get this real sour kind of look, which suggested that they pretty much tasted like tires as well. He said that these are boring without the flavor and the flourishes that delight your mouth. You need a better burger. Construction Zone's customized better burgers are brought hot to your home. Here was the kind of image that he used of some grainy manufacturing process. And in fact, it's true. McDonald's Brothers invented a manufacturing thing. There are 3 pickles that are put a particular way on each burger. You standardize it, makes it good. And they started out, the burgers were 15 cents. They were making money at that because they had the standardized process. So next, Johnny showed a chart. And it showed basic burgers and then a category called premium burgers. The higher priced burgers were growing at 15%, the others at 3%. The theme was there's a growing market for better burgers. He spent some time talking about that. Demand for basic burgers is slowing, yet customers are willing to pay for a better burger. Most people, the reason I use this example is most people are familiar with hamburgers, right? So he said customized products and home delivery are wildly popular trends, yet they haven't been applied to the $5 billion burger business until now. And then we see Johnny again, and he has two things in front of him. One, he has a basic burger, which looks like a hockey puck, and then he has a big, juicy burger with all kinds of stuff on it. And the movement is he sweeps the hockey puck off and brings this other one forward. And grins and he points to it. And he said, "My company, Construction Zone, will build you a custom burger. Lamb, ostrich, bison, nutty vegan, all delicious. With toppings you can choose: guacamole, kale, oyster mushrooms, sriracha sauce, and many more. And our promise is that our bright yellow VW Beetle will deliver your better burger to your door within 15 minutes. And then we see the shot of the burger and the voiceover. And this is his competitive advantage he's talking about. The music we hear, a little fake trumpet fanfare. "I have years of practice delivering pizza quickly. Construction Zone will locate in an affluent area with thousands of customers within a mile and a half. I also have unique packaging," and this is true, and he didn't know he had unique packaging until he went to the IP lawyers, and they said, "Man, you ought to patent that." So he said, "Yep, I'll do it. Guaranteed to keep your burger hot and your bread dry and your lettuce cool and crisp." Burgers are a big market. I'm Johnny Washington, and my Construction Zone will take a big bite out of that market. And then he picks up his hamburger, grins, and chomps on it. Then we go to his Construction Zone logo and the trumpet fanfare. So when Johnny presented this to the class, they all hissed and howled. They said, "We hate you. That is so good, we just hate you." That was really terrific. They just loved it. And I do too. I still get a kick out of it because I just thought it was great. Now you notice he doesn't have financials in here. We left that out. He just showed that you can sell a burger for about $15 and he can do all the delivery and so forth for far, far less than that. And he knows his numbers because he works in that industry all the time. He knows a heuristic or benchmark that food costs are no more than 30%, and he knows all these other numbers as well. But I left it out of this. Now, how will judges rate you at the elevator pitch contest? So if you submit a video, you will be a semi-finalist, and that goes on your resume forever. That's all you have to do. That's a good thing, because then you can talk about it. If you just get an A in the class, nobody cares. But if you've done something, they love to hear that. And I've seen many students actually, both in business and in design and in engineering, who got better jobs as a result of what they had done in this particular contest and others like at other universities. So here's what they're going to want to know. First, is the problem clear? If you have a solution and there's no problem for it, there's no compelling reason for anyone to buy it. Does the presenter understand the market and the customers? What are the customers looking for? We have indication this is something that's going to be just fabulous and really capture their interest. Was the team believable and enthusiastic? It turns out that passion is incredibly important. So I talked to my son, developed a company, and he got $5 million worth of investment. And so I asked the investors why they invested. The main thing was the passion. They knew that he would succeed because he cared so very much. And the really great presentations have a good deal of passion behind them. Believability is important as well. It can't just be showmanship. In fact, in our first contest, I think the dominant thing was the passion of the presenter. He was just incredible. And he brought a whole team with him. They had t-shirts, they had cards. It was all sizzle and maybe a little bit of steak. But that can be really important. And in fact, we know that venture capitalists invest based on what they think of the team, not what they think of the idea. They'd rather have A team with a B idea than a B team with an A idea. A lot of data supports that. So overall, they will be asking if the solution is logical, is it differentiating the place you don't want to be, is, oh, I'm another one, B2, we have that too. And is it innovative? Is it something different? And knowing the audience here, I know that we do have some different innovative ideas going. Overall, does the product seem reasonable? Is it commercial? Does it have a chance? Style is less important. Style is less important. Does the presentation style command attention? Did it hold my interest? And then, of course, the judges will ask the questions. And do you understand what they're saying? So some people are so busy trying to think of an answer that they don't even really listen to what the question is. And do you make an answer? Not that you need to know everything. It's perfectly okay to say, we haven't gotten that far yet. That's on our list, but we don't have an answer for you. So that's really what will make a difference.